Hello, everyone. Welcome to POAP Community Call number 41. So glad that everybody is able to be here, that we're able to listen to and hear everybody as well. Always great whenever Discord is able to work with us and not against us. I am your host, Mr. Mojo, and I'm very, very proud to be here to talk to you today about what's going on in the POAP community. Joining me today are a few of my friends. First, we have Nixorokish, who is the onboarding lead at GetPOAP and EveStaker member. Hello, welcome up. We also have,
Well played.
yes, we also have Logic Beach, master of many things and leader of many initiatives. Great to have you.
Hey everybody, good to be here.
We also have iDecentralized, better known as Anthony, the POAP Growth Manager, up on stage. Glad to have you as always.
What's up? What's up?
And our special guest today, we have Slobo.eth from Nifty Chat and ENS. Good to have you.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. But all right, so it's good to put on our listening ears for this one because we are distributing our POAP in a different way. Of course, more information and more in-depth details on how that's going to work at the end of the call. But I'm going to go ahead and link the platform that we're going to be using to distribute our POAP today. That is going to be at rev.gg, and you can see that in the community calls channel. You're going to want to go ahead and sign up on that platform. And like I said, we will get into more of how it works a little bit later. But again, to help yourself out later, you can go ahead and go to that link. I guess you'll have to copy and paste it because I just typed it in. But sign up there, and we'll take it from there about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the call. But all right. We are going to go ahead and start off our community call with really one of the reasons why we're deciding to use rev.gg. And this is a bit of a continuation with the conversation that we were having last week with POAPs evolving from being more than just this idea of like the POAP is the thing that is given to you for attending an event or for accomplishing something, etc., etc. Now we're really focusing on giving these NFTs, giving these POAPs some sort of utility. In the POAP community call, we've been thinking of ways to give back to our listeners using the POAPs that we distribute every single week. And with the help of Anthony and Theo on the POAP team, helping us bridge the gap between us and the community and POAP Inc. as a company, we're excited to announce our very first initiative to provide utility to the POAPs that we give out here. So we are going to be raffling a Lil Noun, and these are very similar to the regular nouns, I guess that you could call them, the OG nouns, but instead of one being raffled every 24 hours, there's one that's raffled every 15 minutes. And owning a Lil Noun gives the holder the ability to propose and vote on ideas in the Lil Nouns DAO. And there's going to be more details that are going to be announced on this in the POAP Discord. But know that any community call POAP, starting from POAP number 29, which was the first POAP where we began requiring payments, and onward, those are going to qualify for the Lil Noun raffle. And Anthony, I kind of want to get your thoughts and input on this because you've really been trying to help us figure out things that we can do, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this. And also, especially since you weren't here last week, kind of thinking about how POAPs are evolving from just being like an NFT that we give out to something that we also put utility behind.
Yeah, totally. So I think that, POAP has been around since 2019, was created at ETH Denver, and has become a staple in kind of the Web3 and Ethereum culture. And mostly what we've seen is people, dropping POAPs, collecting POAPs, and having these awesome memories. And I think my opinion is that was sort of the first phase one of POAP, where, you can celebrate these remarkable moments and you can tag your community. But then there's going to be a way, or there are ways, and there are going to be more and more of them, how you can re-engage or reconnect with your collectors, with your friends, with these community members. And so I think this is going to be like a new meta that is issuers are re-engaging with their collectors and doing fun stuff with them. And I think we want to be at the cutting edge of that and testing different fun, apps in the ecosystem. The first thing that we're going to be doing is a raffle. Many people have obviously participated in raffles. This is something that's been going on in POAP for a while. But the different experiences and different ways that we're going to be connecting with the POAP holders is going to get more and more unique and fun and weird over time. Weird kind of in a good way, like mostly like fun. So the raffle is just, version 1. Again, this is nothing new. But yeah, we want to give back to our community members. And with Guild being monetized for so many weeks, there's now a small community call treasury that we're going to start to put to work to give back. And this is the beginning of that. And we'll announce some more news on this next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving your thoughts on that. And I'm totally right there with you. I think it's important that, especially since we've been taking funding for our POAP distributions, that we are able to use those funds to be able to give back to our listeners, give back to our community that makes us as strong, one of the strongest communities out here in Web3. I just think it's an appropriate thing to do. And Slobo, I kind of want your thoughts on this since you weren't able to be part of the vocal conversation that we were having last week. What is your thoughts on POAPs and I guess some other NFTs moving on from just being something that is past, like the speculation, and now it's more so we got to actually use these things?
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked at POAPs and NFTs as like membership to a community, and a community is not just a bunch of people trying to get rich, because that's a pretty shallow community, and the moment something turns, that community kind of disintegrates. So I think it's things that share a common interest. Like I was at DEF CON and I collected a bunch of POAPs there, and that shared interest is what adds the utility. And if there's a way to kind of keep some of that energy through NFTs or POAPs, that's where the real value add, because in the end, besides the money, it all comes down to like that human connection and that human memory. So that's always been my optimistic take. And I think in the bull market, it's very easy to only focus on how much money am I making or what am I getting for X. But now in this kind of more subdued environment, kind of the true human connection is going to come out. So I'm actually happy because I think that's the actual intent of all the stuff that we're doing in Web3.
Yeah, precisely. As we've all been saying, it's really important to be able to make sure that you have substance behind what you're doing in your community. And you're exactly right. There's some communities who they build up around sort of like speculation, or maybe they build up around the price of a token, or what have you. And then as soon as things go south, as you said, as things enter a bear market, the excitement around it goes down, and it causes the community to suffer as a result.
Absolutely. And that's, I think it's important when I talk about this from an ENS or Nifty Chat perspective, is I think the best tools and the best protocols out there are the ones that are going to facilitate that human connection, because more and more of us are spending more time online. I think that's going to continue, and Web3 provides, the ability to connect better. If we kind of ignore the bots, ignore all the bad stuff, more deeper connections can form. Even here on this call, like I met Nixo, I hope I said that correctly, in DEF CON for the first time. And I know that I knew her from one of these calls in the past, and that made the connection just a little bit better. I gave her a hat to deliver to somebody else. So those like little interactions, they were kind of improved because I had a community like relation with her through a prior event. So I don't know, I'll let Nixo speak as well.
It's so exciting. You came up to the booth, and it's like really exciting to be able to put a face to an icon, because some of your icons are actually your face. And so I recognized you, and I was like, where do I know you from? But yeah, it's amazing to like.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I'm lagging. Am I lagging?
You sound all right.
I heard what you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of to further go on, Nix, I believe you weren't really able to give your thoughts on the evolution of like NFTs and POAPs at the moment. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts before we move on to what you want to talk about today on the call.
Oh, that's all right. We can move on to. I admit that I am at the dog park right now, and I was distracted by my dog fighting with another dog for a second.
All right, all good. But okay, yep. So just to kind of wrap this one up in a bow, we are giving back to our community by raffling off a little now. And there's going to be more info on that here in the POAP Discord soon. But all right, Nix, I want to hear about what is going on at Get POAP. So please tell us.
So this week, Get POAP is releasing another Get POAP that we're excited about. It's for the first 500 people who held Get POAPs. And so if you were one of the first 500 people who held a Get POAP, you will qualify for this Get POAP. It's going to be part of our custom cohort, our cohort of like custom Get POAPs. So it's not necessarily repo based. In general, we're very excited. I think we've actually surpassed like 600 Get POAP holders since we decided to do this one. We hit 500. We were like, great, and then we're almost at 700. So it's exciting to be growing that.
Yeah, I think it's exciting as well, especially since you are kind of sort of fading out a little bit. But I believe you said that. It's going to the first 500 people who are able to acquire a Get POAP, and for now you're at around 600, almost 700 people who have claimed a Get POAP, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, excellent. Can you sort of give us the the philosophy or the idea behind why Get POAP wants to give a POAP out to the early adopters of their platform?
Sure. Get POAP is new. It's in its infancy. It's growing. We are finding all sorts of different niches to fill. And the people who are earning Get POAPs right now are the people who are early in the ecosystem, building right now. And they are the people. It is really easy to get into any industry when it's been around for 30 years. It's clearly going to stick around. It's pretty hard to get in an industry and start building when it's less than 5 years old, when it's less than a decade old. And it's not clear that it's going to stick around. And a lot of people are saying that it's going, that it's a fad and then it's going to disappear. And so these people are actually doing harder work now than the work that will be done in 10 years, because they're not just doing hard work, they're also facing uncertainty. And that is in itself deserving of a Get POAP.
Yeah, I think that's really great. Is there anybody up here who has Get POAPs? I have 2 of them personally.
I do not. I'm wrecked. I need them.
I actually do have a few Get POAPs, and it's because when new projects onboard onto Get POAP, there are GitHub badges, and you can add these badges to the repo, and it basically says, hey, this repo is Get POAP eligible. And it takes 2 seconds to add that badge to a repo, and you do it through a pull request, so you do end up earning a Get POAP. And granted, it's a lower tier Get POAP because we've already like sort of introduced tiers, and you can see gold, bronze, silver on there. But it is still a pull request. You still do earn a Get POAP, and it's really easy, and anybody can do it. I actually wait like a few weeks to I wait like 2 to 6 weeks before I make that pull request, because I leave it as low hanging fruit for no new projects in case somebody else wants to do that. So if you notice a repo that's Get POAP eligible and it doesn't say it on its README, you can actually do that pull request.
That's some great alpha. Like my I don't have any Git POAPs, but I've been talking to Kayla to see if we could potentially get a Git POAP for some of the contributors that are creating open source projects for ENS. And the first project is one project that I did a minor PR myself. So it's kind of, that's going to be my hidden way to get a Git POAP, by basically bringing Git POAP to me, then then contributing and then getting one. So maybe that's sneaky. But
That is my favorite way. Like you have built something and you are excited about it, you're proud of it, and you want to be recognized for it. So you're like, hey, give me a Git POAP. I already built this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's build first, ask for rewards later.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, that's actually, I really like that sentence that you just said, because that is kind of a philosophy of the entire ecosystem. Like, that is 90% of people who work in this ecosystem right now started working in the ecosystem and then became so invaluable that the projects that they were working for were like, shit, I got to start paying this person. I can't afford to lose this person.
Yeah, and actually that aligns with the way, ENS grants work, right? Like any kind of great grant system, like it pays you for the stuff you already did, because if you try to pay for things that are coming, it introduces risk. But I think the skill set to determine that something is valuable in hindsight is much easier than to predict who can produce value. And that way, the limited capital that exists can be used a lot further if you kind of reward retroactively. And those rewards can be pretty huge. I don't know if folks are familiar with like the Protocol Guild and how much funding they've been receiving from different people because they're, working on core Ethereum type stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely wonderful to see that Git POAP is finding more ways to be able to give back to the people who are building in this Web3 community, in this crypto ecosystem, and allowing the early adopters to reap the rewards of the seeds that they have sowed so far. Really, really great. But all right, so I think we're going to move on to our next topic. So, Nixorokish and Slobo, you both had the opportunity to go to DevCon. And last week we had Dan and Roger from Discarbon come on. They were also individuals who were able to go to DevCon, and they were able to give us a little bit of a boots on the ground perspective of how everything went. But I'm very interested to hear both of your experiences of being able to be there, work a booth, and seeing the community shine. So, so Nix, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with you. How was everything? You were at the eStaker booth, correct?
Yes, I was at the eStaker group had a booth for 2 of the 4 days, and it was the first 2 days, and it was amazing. I cannot believe how many like people and projects came to us wanting to collaborate or be a part of it or learn what we do. And my favorite thing about eStaker is that people would come up and say, "Hey, what is eStaker?" And I would say, "We're community education. We're by the community for the community. We do technical help. We do guides. We provide staking guidance." And people would ask, "Okay, but what's your protocol? What are you shilling?" And I would say nothing. eStaker is literally just community guidance. It's not for profit. We're not making anything. We are a neutral organization that kind of aggregates all the information that's already existing and already out there to help people make good decisions around staking.
I like to
But
think
anyway,
that
so
eStaker shills decentralizing Ethereum, which is
yes,
definitely a for the community, by the community.
yeah, exactly.
Welcoming first and knowledgeable second, everyone.
Yeah, so I was like really stoked about all the connections that I made, and to be honest, I need to do a better job next time of actually like keeping track of those connections, because basically I just connected with people on Telegram, and if you are one of those people, reach out to me, because I connected with you on Telegram and now I can't remember why I connected with you, and sometimes I need to take better notes. Anyway, um, we had 2 people who came up for translations, wanting to translate anything that eStaker puts out, and so that was really exciting.
Very
And
interesting. Yeah.
in general, I just want to say that like I haven't been to a lot of Ethereum conferences, but this was the best one I have ever been to. It had the right vibes. The EF did a really good job of organizing it, and it was just very builder centric, very decentralization centric, and very public goods oriented. And it was amazing vibes. It was amazing vibes. It was well organized. Everyone was well fed all the time. And then there were like lots of little fridges with like teas and coffees and stuff to drink. The whole thing. I have no complaints except for that the internet was a little bit hard, which made mint cold.
Could you repeat that last part? You kind of faded out on us there.
I said I had no complaints about the entire thing except for the internet was a little spotty, which made minting people's POAPs a little difficult.
You see, that's always the big thing about spotty internet. You can't give your POAPs out fast enough. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. What about you, Slobo? How was your experience of the conference?
Yeah, I'm actually really interested. You were working with the NS, so you were right there, like at the booth, making sure people got their IYK cards and stuff, right?
Yeah, that was really intense. But
Oh, I
before I go into that, I just want to echo something Nixo just said. This was by far the best conference of my life. This is my first DevCon, but it was definitely the best DevCon. But it was also the best conference that I've ever been to, and I've been to like dozens of fintech conferences in my prior life. And I loved the country. It was my first time down to Bogota, and everybody was like very friendly. The food was delicious. So kind of now I'm shilling the country because I think it was just a great cultural experience to be there. And then DevCon, yeah, outside of the internet, everything was like perfect. So I was there. I was, handing out these POAPs for like 2 hours. I think we went through 2,000. So for those that might not be aware, there was a on-site printer that if you pre-registered on ENS, you were able to get an IYK card that lets you kind of hand out your own POAP. But there had to be a process to get it, and there would be 2 or 3 people working this like immense line. And one of my favorite POAPs that I got that is super exclusive, I'm going to say what it is. I'm going to read it to make sure. I ran the ENS card printer, and all I got was this POAP. So there was only 17 of these minted, and I'm 11 out of 17. So definitely one of those prized possessions. So that was pretty cool. Again, I thought the presentations and like the cultural aspects of it were kind of my highlights, because it just when I left it, uplifted my spirits, and kind of, I don't think I checked the price even once when I was there, just because I just didn't care. I'm going to trail off here, so you might have to like bring me back on what you want me to talk about.
No, man, you're doing great. Please tell me more. Like, I'm actually really interested in everything that you were doing. Like, can you kind of describe the excitement level that people would get whenever they finally get through the very long line? From all the pictures that I've seen, there are so many people who were already really excited to be able to receive these like IYK cards and attach their ENS and You Met Me POAP and everything all in one. Can you describe the excitement that people had finally getting through the line? They finally get to print out their POAP distribution method, and they get to go around sharing it with others.
Yeah, so I think the most excitement was like literally 5 minutes after they got it, because by the time they got to the front of the line, some people were a little bit frustrated. Some things didn't quite work, and there were a couple of issues. So it was challenging, because it wasn't all happy, joy feelings. I think most of the joy came from afterwards, where everybody, like, because we would like hand them out in batches of 4 or 5, and then since you're just kind of standing around waiting until the next like mini batch of people comes around, everybody's just like connecting and tapping their cards and trying to get it to work with like the Wi-Fi, and they're picking up these first POAPs, and they're like, they're getting it, and seeing that they're getting it on their eyes is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it also forced new ENS registrations and new like avatars being set to make sure that the pictures came through well. And the other thing that was really funny, completely aside, some people, just because the way it worked is like, a POAP is immortalized when you preview it. At least that's how the tech worked. So some people set like joke avatars. Some of them were not PG-13, and so then those things were getting printed out, and they're like, Oh, and like you could see how like their joke turned into like sad face. And maybe that's not what I should be pointing out, but that's what I remember. Some guy had like rated, probably not like quite rated R, but definitely not something you would want to show children as his avatar. And then
Non-family friendly, yeah.
yeah, non-family friendly. And then I saw him, and he's just like, there was like a little bit of an embarrassment, but a little bit of joy, and it's just like, I don't know, that's what I remember. So that's one thing I remember. The other thing is we had a really young boy there who was able to set up his name and get this POAP card, and we had this competition where whoever could collect the most would get on this leaderboard, and I'll post it in the chat once I'm done talking. And he got like 4th place, which means he collected like 200 plus POAPs. And I just saw this like kid, I don't know, maybe he was 8-10 years old, I can't really tell, it was definitely a child, and just like running out and just like interacting with all these adults trying to collect POAPs, and like the energy. And I'm thinking about like, what was I doing at like 10 years old? And it sure as hell wasn't collecting POAPs. And just thinking what kind of world it is. And the last part of it is sort of because he became kind of like a mini superstar, because there's not a lot of children at DEF CON. Everybody was like supporting him, and it just it's like the new generation of folks doing it. So those are like the instances. Like the work is hard, right? I'm sure like for Nixo standing at the booth, it's just like hard work, because you're sometimes having the same conversation, or you have to be on your feet all day. You're like managing sometimes people who are a little bit grumpy, but in the end, it's like one or two of those instances where like, you get that emotional connection. Kind of circling back to my initial point, it's always about the people and actually like connecting with a human being that like, despite this being digital, I think that's my favorite part. And I think these kind of physical interactions, it makes it so much easier. Like I see someone has a card, I can just approach them, right? And there's just like, oh, like now I'm in a conversation. I don't need an icebreaker. I don't want to be like, so what brings you here? It's like, dude, cool dude or dudette, cool POAP. So I think those are the like social aspects of like true Web3 social that like POAP is obviously a leader of, that makes me like super excited about.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So one of the questions that I have really quick before Logic Beach, I would love to hear your thoughts too, but before I lose this in my head, from what it seems like, these were kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like lanyard style, right? Like you could put it on a lanyard around your neck and everything.
Yeah, it was just a plastic card with your picture printed on it.
Yeah, so it sort of makes me think, how like a teacher has their lanyard and has like their name badge and everything on it. Well, now I'm imagining like you go to a conference and you have your like identification lanyard of like, hey, this is my ENS name, or this is my like internet name or whatever. And then within that lanyard is how you distribute your You Met Me POAP. I think it's just a genius idea.
No, I agree. And just for everybody to give props to Nixo, she is number 15 on the leaderboard that I just posted. She collected 95 POAPs, which is pretty impressive.
95? I collected 100. Did they bring me down on there?
Oh, maybe because that's the way it does it. It's like it shows the top 5 and then it's plus 95. So I misread it. I am not dripping you off 5 POAPs. So
oh my god, I got to exactly 100 and then I stopped.
Okay, that's a great number.
But Logic Beach,
Burrs and I were competing for that leaderboard. She and I were running around introducing ourselves, and Burrs was actually more discerning than I was. I was pretty much like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Can I have your phone?" I'll only ask people who have actual avatars on their ENS card.
Competing for POAPs, love it. Logic Beach, you wanted to chime in with
Yeah,
something. I would love to hear your thoughts.
I was just enjoying the stories they were telling about like the energy at these conferences and how excited people are about POAPs, and it's making me really excited about ETH Denver, because like before last year I had never gone to any sort of Ethereum event of any kind. We went to NFTY. That was the first conference that me and Britton had ever been to, and I'd never been to New York either. The energy was absolutely insane. We met Oops.eth and Soggy Apple Pie there, and we were fast friends running around handing out POAPs to everybody. And like, even though you didn't know these people, they know POAP, and they wanted to like be able to prove that they were there. And the energy is definitely electric. But yeah, I'm getting really excited about ETH Denver, and I guess it's like March, beginning of March next year. We're definitely gonna have some cool surprises, and POAP wise and otherwise, it's gonna be really fun. I'm just really looking forward to it. It's like, what is that, 5 months from now? It's just awfully long time.
Yeah, it's going to be 5 years in Web3 time, but we'll make it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, it's really great to hear that there was a lot of excitement around being able to distribute POAPs at I almost called it DevConnect by accident, at a DevCon. And, it's just fantastic that this was able to reach a whole bunch of people, able to introduce them to amazing technology like being able to have an ENS for your wallet address, being able to have an easy way to distribute a POAP to the people that you meet at the conference. Really great that everything was able to come together. You mix it up in the pot, put it in the oven, bake it, and it makes this lovely moist cake that we all got to enjoy. But all right. So speaking of things that are fun,
Great description.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, whoa, that was an interesting one.
It was beautifully said.
Thank you,
No
thank
complaint.
you. But all right, so Logic Beach, you and Slobo wanted to announce something to everybody here, so please give us the alpha.
Yeah, I
that
actually might
community
let
event.
Slobo go ahead and just drop the alpha on this. Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do that? And I can follow up with some more of the details.
Yeah, sure. So for those that don't know, I'm Slobo.eth. I am a member of the ENS DAO, and the ENS DAO went into existence on November 8th. And given that we're coming up to the 1 year anniversary, we wanted to do something special. And given how well or how much attention the POAP ENS kind of combo got, I think it just made a lot of sense to do by the way, I've heard like people call this thing by 3 or 4 different names, so I don't know what the right name is. We're gonna do a POAP.art canvas. What is the branded correct way to call this? Can someone tell me?
I like to say a POAP.art paint party.
I'd
Or
say
like a
Pixel Party. Yeah, I
Pixel
like
Party, paint
Pixel
party.
Party personally, but yeah, Slobo, you're kind of
Yeah.
right. There's like 3 different ways to put it.
That's what happens in a permissionless ecosystem. People just call it whatever they want. But yeah, POAP.art, Pixel Party. That's probably how we'll brand it.
Yep, a POAP.art, a Pixel Party. Wow, a lot of P's there. So
Yeah,
I think
good
it'll be,
alliteration.
I think it'll be a 1 to 3 hour event. We'll probably have a stream. We'll have guests. We'll have the art, and like we're still organizing. All of it. It's just clear that the connection between POAP and ENS, these kind of protocols that at their core are not financial. People make it financial, but they're not really financial, and that's why I'm excited to work with the POAP team, which I've been a fan of since I collected my first POAP in NFTY NYC back in November of last year. So I'm excited. And then Logic Beach, I think he's run so many of these events that I couldn't imagine trying to orchestrate all these things without his expert support. So I'm gonna kind of defer to him and say, what's our ask of the group?
Sure. The call to action here is this is going to be like a really fun event to celebrate ENS DAO, and everybody here knows how important ENS has been in the ecosystem. And the fact that they decentralized last November 8th, I guess, is when the DAO was spun up, it's such a big deal. And I mean, we all saw the results like at DevCon between POAP and ENS. So it's a really good crossover, especially to come talk about it here and to be able to pump it here. So I love these collaborative art parties, and I mean that's yet another way to mention it. I sort of missed them for a little while, like nobody was doing them, or at least not in any of the communities that I hang out in. And then after the merge, like everybody they loved it. They were reaching out to me, thanking me for like the coordination that I had done and everything. Just that they had so much fun with their communities. So it looks like we have is that 2 weeks? About 2 weeks before this. I don't know exactly if that's right. And so, what I really like to do for these events is get communities organized because when people collaborate and organize like in a great way, they produce so much like more interesting art rather than just like say I don't know like writing their name or something on the canvas. The mainnet merge canvas was a perfect example of that. Like we had we almost broke the system. There was thousands of people in there placing pixels, and we had to close it early because it just got so full. It ended up just being people trying to cover each other's art up at the end. So yeah, I mean, you can really see the result. Like big giant logos from all sorts of different people that were interested. The panda and the centerpiece. Like I think we ended up giving out. I wish I knew the number off the top of my head. Like 500 POAPs to people that placed pixels on that canvas because the cutoff was something like place at least 50 pixels, and it blew my mind how many people placed at least 50. And it wasn't easy because the system was struggling to keep up with everyone going all at once. Like the cooldown was something like 8 seconds, but with the lag that was going on because there was thousands of people trying to do it all at once, it ended up being more like 10 to 15 seconds, and people just kept at it and just kept at it and created some really cool art. So I'm probably digressing. Like it was, I'm sort of just remembering how fun that was. It was crazy. We all stayed up, well, if you're living in America, until like 3 or 4 a.m. Like I was tired, but I didn't feel tired. Yeah, exactly, Nick. So
Yeah,
like I
feels
had
right
all the
on there.
required pull-ups to have like a really short cooldown, but it ended up being just as long as had I had just the entry POAP. Okay, so um on November 8th, do we know the time that this is going to happen? You may have mentioned it to me before, but I don't remember.
I think that's still a little bit in
So,
flux.
TBD. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit in flux, but it's probably going to be like morning-ish, like California time, just because I think we're going to try to capture as much of the world as we can, but that's obviously hard with a limited time event. But I do, before you continue, I just want to also express like my personal and ENS's gratitude for like POAP support. I don't know if everybody knows this, but these things are really expensive for the POAP entity to support, and I just want people to know that I'm very grateful, and ENS is very grateful for POAP support because we realize that this stuff is not cheap, and it's not cheap from a coordination perspective either. So I just want to make sure my gratitude is heard.
Yeah, awesome. It definitely requires a lot of people hands-on to make these pixel parties happen. That being said, I might even just share this link again just to give it like double visibility. This is the POAP.art Discord. That invite should be open forever. One of the main things that I do is when these parties, like leading up to these parties, I reach out to all sorts of communities and I get people coordinating on that Discord. And so if you have a community that you want to coordinate with, you can either coordinate in your own Discord, but it is really nice if you guys do it in the POAP.art Discord so everyone else can kind of see where you're planning on attacking the canvas, what you're going to do. And also, one of the services I provide is say you have some art that you want to convert into like 8-bit. If you try to just use it as a reference on its own, it's going to be really difficult. So what I do is I'll take anybody's art that you send to me on Discord. You can DM me or just at me or tag me on the POAP.art Discord. I will 8-bitify your image in Photoshop. I've gotten pretty good at that actually. It's I've gotten it down to a science at this point. I can do it pretty quickly. Some are more hands-on, but yeah, that's what I'll do. That's just something I want to offer everybody, any community that wants to get like good reference. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I'm just talking like it's pixel perfect. Like you can count pixels and make sure that it's going to look the same on the canvas, right? So I can help you guys get that together. So yeah, please, if you have any community and you want to take part in this hugely important ENS DAO, well, ENS DAO is hugely important, but for this really fun event, please reach out to me in that Discord. I'll get you a guild set up. That's another thing I forgot to mention. I set up guild channels in there so you guys can organize in separate channels. And then there's a main one where everyone can sort of talk and we can coordinate between the guilds. So yeah, I think that's my spiel. If there's any questions, please.
Yeah, and we'll be working through the requirements, which POAPs get what over time. But I wanted to give people as much heads up as possible so we could have the best possible event. So, I talking to Logic Beach, he basically said that a lot of these things take a little bit of time to, basically everything happens at the end, and I'm going to try my best to make sure we have a nice, smoothly run process. At least that's my goal, and we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, more information to come. We'll definitely communicate it on these POAP calls. We'll communicate it through the Twitter accounts of ENS, personal accounts. Anyone who wants to know will know what the requirements are, because communication is important. Back to you, Logic Beach.
Yeah, well said. And I don't really have anything else to add at the moment. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, actually, yeah, you mentioned you wanted to use the ENS POAPs from the ENS POAP cards from DevCon, and we were talking about how that would be sort of a really difficult lift because there's thousands of them. I wondered if you wanted to talk about that since we just sort of segued out of DevCon into this.
Yeah, sure. It's very clear that the people who collected, who minted one of those IYK cards combination, will have some kind of cooldown. But we're probably going to create a POAP that folks can claim that will definitely be a component of it, just so from a technical perspective, it'll be easier, and it also shows. I don't know what it'll be called. Like, I don't know.
I met someone at DEF CON.
I mean, I'd say those are real POAPs, and you can sort of trust them that they weren't farmed. I guess except for the guy in the back of the line who was just getting all of them. But I mean, you were talking about instead of trying to add every single one of those separate ENS POAPs, you might be POAPs to the canvas as an entry POAP, rather maybe giving one out to any DevCon POAP holder. So it would be very simple as an entry ticket to the canvas. That's just one of them, right? I want to say that out loud for everyone listening. Like, there's going to be several different possible entry POAPs into this canvas, and there'll probably be one given out on a call before it or something like that as well. That's typical for these kinds of events. So if you don't hold one already, you can get one before the event.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, because I don't think we want to. There's 2,000. I don't know if there's exactly 2,000, but there's 2,000 collabs. I think we don't want to crash this system before we even start.
Yeah,
and it'd be good to have a summary POAP for all folks who were there.
I'm pretty sure I stress tested both the engineers adding all of the POAPs I wanted to include for the merge. Like, we tried to make it as inclusive as possible. So we are reaching POAPs from the past 2 years since the beginning of POAP history. And so we had, I don't know how many we had as entry POAPs, but it was a lot. So it was, yeah, like I said, a stress test on both the engineer that had to go manually enter all of those event IDs, and a stress test on the system itself, keeping up with the thousands of people that joined. So it was fun. Looking forward to it. And yeah, we'll be talking about it over the next 2 or so weeks, and getting excited about it.
Yep, I'm psyched. I've never run one of these events, but they look so much fun. Ever since I've only been to one, which was the Git POAP one that was run by Colfax and team, and from Git POAP, and that was like a great. I think I spent my like Sunday or Saturday morning, and it was just like, oh, I just felt instantly part of that community. So I hope to recreate something similar. That's my guiding star.
Oh yeah, and ENS is such a big deal. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be hugely successful and very fun. There's going to be all sorts of good art on this thing. So yeah.
Definitely sounds like a great time. So that was November the 8th, correct?
That's correct, and we'll have all the details kind of plugged away. This is Web3, so 3 weeks away might as well be forever.
Yeah. But all right, yeah, it sounds like something that is going to be really fun to partake in, something that people will be able to say, I was there, I was able to create my pixel art, I got a POAP for doing so. So excellent, always love to see it. But all right, so we are going to move on to our community discussion topic to finish off our main sort of conversation that we're having today. And Nixorokish, I'm going to let you present this one because you have a very interesting observation that you saw at DEF CON that you wanted to share.
Oh yeah. So if anybody saw the opening ceremonies at Con, you can watch it on YouTube right now. So if anybody can actually find that YouTube link and post it. I thought it was cool that Tim Bako gave out an NFT that basically he introed it by saying that there are a lot of devs that don't really have time to look at conference tickets, see when the conferences when the conference tickets become available, and so they end up missing conference tickets. And some of them, like some of the most important people to the ecosystem, don't end up getting conference tickets because they're just like busy working, busy grinding. And so he created an NFT that went to the people who were most who did the most development work around the merge, and he sent those NFTs as a soul-bound, or as I like to call it, a wallet-bound NFT. So lacking a transfer function. And that pretty much guarantees priority access to the to conference tickets in the future. And I'm curious why he didn't use a POAP or a Git POAP for that kind of thing. Because although I understand that like maybe he did it because POAPs have transfer features, it seems silly to do it in a way that I don't know. Maybe what do you guys think? Do you think that he did it only because of the transfer, the lack of ability to take away the transfer feature?
I actually am not totally familiar with this SBT that he's dropping, but the thing that I always say whenever I hear someone is creating a new contract with a new token and dropping it is like, well, I'm not going to be able to see it in my wallets. It's not going to be supported almost anywhere, so it kind of really doesn't exist to me. Whereas what I really like about POAPs is like I can see them in my wallet, the UX is great, and then eventually the more and more ways that I'll be able to engage. You could do POAP moments and do attachments, or you could do something like Nifty Chat. There's just so much more exciting things. I think this will just be another like small fragmented thing that will probably be forgotten about, and I think that's unfortunate.
I completely agree, especially because I actually don't see transferability in this situation as being an issue because these are like developers who are very proud of their work and who are very ingrained in the ecosystem. None of them are going to be selling this thing. None of them are going to go on Gnosis chain, figure out how to transfer it to mainnet, and then sell it when it's really just when it's such a when it's such a point of pride to have this thing. And like you said, there's so much infrastructure built around things like POAPs that it seems like it would make more sense to build something that has a bunch of infrastructure because if you think about it, the only reason people complain about Twitter is because you can't just move to another ecosystem and have all the same content and all the same support and all the same people who are already on Twitter. You can't just move that to another platform. As soon as something becomes decentralized, and you actually own all your data, it's going to be much easier to choose your own algorithms, choose your own front end, choose where you want to be. But right now, the monopoly that Twitter has is your data. You want to keep that data. You want to keep your history. And that's how it's going to be for anything that lives outside of the POAP ecosystem or lives within its own weird like NFT protocol.
That I really think the POAP. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my own words. POAP should have the option to mint, say, a non-transferable version. I think. I mean, I wonder what the lift would really look like if POAP wanted to mint a new contract that is exactly the same as POAP in every way. It's on Gnosis. They remove the transfer function from it, so then it becomes a soul-bound POAP. I wonder, would people even want to farm those? It might be sort of an interesting solution, since if you get a bunch of these in a bunch of different wallets, what does that matter? You only need one to prove you're at a place, right? I'd love to see that, and I imagine that will happen sooner or later.
I think in the long term, I definitely think so. And I mentioned this in an article that just came out with NFT now. It came out like 2 days ago. I'll share it in the chat later. But like I think POAPs are the original soulbound tokens from like a philosophical or kind of spiritual perspective, right? I mean, these are literally our memories and they are very much attached to our souls, even if they might not necessarily permanently attached to our Ethereum address. And I think that this whole hype cycle around soulbound tokens is like pretty aggressive and pretty fast, and likely because of Glenn Weil and Vitalik's paper. But I don't know, it just doesn't excite me for me to go into, the dashboard from an issuer perspective and be able to click, soulbound or regular. Like I don't know why it doesn't really excite me, because it doesn't mean too much. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, but I don't see the additional value prop other than this like hype cycle that we're experiencing.
Understood. And that just jogged my thought process a little more. And so if somebody was concerned, if somebody actually owned a POAP and didn't just go buy it, they could easily check that. Just the blockchain's public, just check provenance. Was that where the POAP was originally minted? And if not, did that person move to a new wallet? Because I can see maybe one or two reasons why somebody might want to move all their assets to a different wallet. So yeah, I mean, for anyone that wants to be sure that someone actually is the person that collected that POAP, it's not very hard to check that either.
So Git POAP actually has a feature that we're building out, and it was pretty sure, I don't remember whose idea it was, but our engineers are awesome, and they have actually already kind of built out the feature, but we haven't implemented it. It's a feature that when you look at your Git POAP collection on the Git POAP site, there is a flag on, and again, this isn't implemented, you can't see it right now. There's a flag on Git POAPs that has been transferred. And so you can see which ones have been transferred. And if you're looking at your profile and you transferred one for one reason or another, maybe you moved wallets, maybe you lost access, or I guess be able to transfer in that case. But anyway, you transferred it for a myriad of very legitimate reasons. You could go in and re-authenticate that Git POAP to remove the flag. So you can connect your GitHub again and say, yes, this is still me. This is still my Git POAP, and it unflags it. I think that's a really cool idea, and I think that maybe that's an idea going forward, because wallet balancing, I don't know. I would be anxious about having any wallet bound anything.
That's a sweet feature. I'll just say that. I am concerned, like I mentioned in the community calls chat, that like a lot of my favorite POAPs are on a hot wallet, and I actually have POAPs spread across wallets unintentionally because of the way I thought about OPSEC in my early days of using Ethereum, like 2017, 20 through 2019. And so I like literally have stuff fragmented all over across, various private keys, and within those private keys, various public addresses. And eventually I will need to push all those to a single address. And by the way, there's not a lot of money on those hackers. They're just POAPs that are also not worth a lot of money. But I hopefully there's a way that as a community, we will have tools that we could authenticate that, yes, we did move these, but because we're a good actor and we wanted to secure it better. And hopefully there's a way to make that look different than, people just moving it and selling it on chain.
Well, and the other kind of related thing that I keep thinking about, just because of Nifty Chat, right? People have hardware wallets. They don't really want to log into a new site. And it's broadly the same thing, is that some people have a lot of valuable assets on one wallet and less valuable assets on another one, and they don't want to use that secure wallet to get access to the Discord or get access to some room on Nifty Chat. So I think I actually kind of semi-controversial opinion here maybe is that it's clear that we're going to have a wallet delegation service created where you're going to be able to defer delegations of assets from one wallet to the next without actually requiring the movement of those assets. And that's why, like, even these soulbound tokens, I think right now there's not enough granularity in how these things are being used, and it's clear that different things should be used for different things. Like POAPs are great to be fun, but if I was graduating college, I don't know if that should be a POAP. I don't know if that should be a soulbound token or somewhere in between of that. And how does that move through my entire life if I want to use that for like my verifiable credentials? So this is the definition of us being early, and the solutions that are kind of at least potentially should be built. There's just not enough devs. There's not enough time to create those. So that's, I think, what you will see. You'll see some kind of wallet delegation service either created by some of these social things that allows you to, get the value of those hot wallets onto on those like secure wallets through one connection versus just waiting, like versus like doing some cleanup, because I'm sure it's going to be a pain for you to consolidate all your wallets into one, and then if you ever have to move it, you have to do it again, and you have to do it asset by asset. So it's those kind of pain points as they get bigger and affect a greater percentage of the population of Web3. I know there's going to be solutions, and I'm excited for the builders that are going to build it.
100%. And without skipping over that delegation point, which is so powerful, and there's a lot to chew on there. I love that you mentioned that, like, where we are in the life cycle of POAP and soulbound tokens, and like, us collecting these memories, etc. I think it would actually be a bad design decision, a bad design decision for POAPs to permanently be locked to addresses right now. Just because, like, we don't know when things should be locked to an address and when they shouldn't. And locking them to an address too early, like, shoestrings you and provides minimal benefits with quite a few downsides. Like you mentioned with, if you graduate college, should that be movable, or should that be locked to an address? And I think it's too early to say. And this hype cycle around soulbound tokens has like gone too far, in my opinion, but maybe I'm just being a little radical.
No, I mean, I'm sure all of us have strong opinions, right? That's why we're speaking. Strong opinions don't mean they're right opinions, at least for me. But that's interesting. I had a point, but I just lost it.
I really liked what Nixorokish was saying about like a little notice like that appears on a Git POAP if it's been transferred. That would be, just that alone would be cool on a POAP. And like moving forward, just any POAP that's ever moved wallets has a little, I don't know, some sort of, doesn't ruin the POAP in any way. Somehow, just notice it.
I always had this idea of like when you mint an NFT, it's signed by your .eth. So if I mint like a Logic Beach NFT, when I mint it, I get a signed thing. So even if I sell my Logic Beach NFT, the first minter, and it's signed by my ENS name. And I can see that being applicable to POAPs as well, because like I think that signing aspect has been missing. But what I kind of want to address Anthony's points about being early. Like when you're building a product, like I don't know how many total POAPs have been issued, maybe 10 million or so. It's clear that 10 million is a lot less than a billion, and a billion POAPs is not an like obscene amount of POAPs to be issued over the next 5-10 years. So you want to optimize for, like, we're 1% through, we're less than 1% through all the POAPs that are going to be minted over the next 5 to 10 years. So making sure you're taking care of the 99% of the POAPs that haven't been minted yet is like the frame of mind that I'm always thinking about for any kind of viral social product. It's like, which users are you building? Are you building for the users of today, or you're building for the mass adoption that's coming?
I love that point. That's just a total different way to look at product and the evolution that we're going through, and forward looking like that, especially if we really oh my gosh, I keep choking on air. If we really are only 1% of the way through, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of different decisions can still be made, and so far we're just treading over fresh grass, and there's many miles to go.
All right, I think we're going to have to end it there because we are coming up on the end of our time, and I do want to give a few extra minutes to describe how people can use the Rev platform to mint their POAP today. But thank you, everybody, for chiming in on our community discussion topic. Definitely a lot of great thoughts, opinions, and viewpoints in that one. Really, really awesome. But all right, so I'm going to try to describe this as clearly as I possibly can. Because it is going to be a little bit different than what we normally do. So here on the POAP Community Call, as was being spoken in the Community Calls chat a little bit earlier on, we sort of like to be on the edge of new technology, making sure that we're keeping up to date on what is available and just what we're able to do. And so we have decided to attempt to use the rev.gg platform. Next week, we plan to have the developer of that, NFT, come on to talk more about it in depth. But as for tonight, there is going to be a link that I'm going to post in chat. And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to launch this NFT. And I'm going to post this in the community calls channel. So let me make sure that it's all good to go. All right. So the link that I just posted, where it says rev.gg/claim code, you're going to click on that. You need to make sure that you create an account on the Rev platform by either linking your twitch.tv account, your Google account, or a Web3 wallet. Then you're going to enter the password that I'm going to give to you. It's very much like secret word. I'll give it to you in just a moment. But know that before you can mint, that you must do a one-time humanity verification by either verifying your phone number, so a traditional route, or you can verify using Gitcoin Passport. You're then...
I was gonna pause you there just before you say the secret word. When you're done with the explanation, let me chime in a bit before you reveal the word.
Excellent. All right, so you're then going to be able to mint the POAP with your wallet like normal, and then it's going to go on the blockchain, and it's going to also be in a Rev sort of like Rev book. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but we have all of our community calls in kind of like a little cluster. So we're able to attach it to a raffle for the Lil Noun next week. But okay, so this is very much like secret word. When you click on the claim link, you have 28 minutes to type in the secret word that is utility. Utility.
Oh man, I just told you not to say it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say for anyone, go hard, collect it, use that word. Some people are going to be upset about the UX here, and I just want to clarify that POAP Community Call POAPs are going to more and more become unique and weird and fun and cutting edge. And the way you claim them might feel like that. The way you're going to use them in the like kind of the connection layer, the DApp ecosystem, and just be prepared to have a little bit of friction because we're going to be testing new products that are just brand new in the wild. And you guys are industry pioneers. You guys are a community who is testing new, crazy, weird, fun things. And they're not yet meant to be perfectly polished. Sometimes they're going to break. Sometimes you're going to get kicked out. If you're a farmer, be prepared to have lots of friction. A big thing of what we're doing is to give you guys friction. And yeah, you know, the attacks on the system and the various farmer attacks, like we're hardening these protocols and these tools early on. And thank you so much for being with us and everyone, all the hosts, like you guys are so awesome. And we're going to try to continue to make it get weirder and funner and until we can, you know, play with every single DApp and every single distribution method that exists. And RevGG this week, utility, let's go.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. So basically how this is going to work, you are going to use the secret word. It is all lowercase. There is no capital letters in it whatsoever. All lowercase. The word is utility. If you put in that password, you will get the access for the ability to mint. You have until next Tuesday to either verify your phone number or to verify your account using Gitcoin Passport. But once Tuesday comes around, the POAP will no longer be available for you to mint. And in 25 minutes, the secret word window will end and you will no longer have access to the POAP. So again, very important, at least for now, you need to put in the secret word, which again is all lowercase utility. And then you have until Tuesday to verify your humanity and mint the POAP. But all right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our community call this week. Always a great, fun, fast, exciting time. And we will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care.
Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Later.
Peace.